So these GPT models, these large language models, are pretty complex. They received lots of input data, and that's what makes them so powerful. But in the end, that's really important. They are about predicting words. They are about completing sequences by, for example, predicting that for a sentence like this, nice might be the next word that should be added. So every word that's being output by ChatGPT is being predicted based on the words in front of that word. Now that's happening super fast here, but in the end, it's a word-by-word process. So in the end, under the hood, ChatGPT continuously takes a look at the words it output thus far, or the words that were sent as an input by the user, and it then generates possible next words. It assigns possibilities to those words, and it then typically picks the word that has the highest probability. So that, for example, here it could determine that nice makes sense for this sentence, but rich and close might not make too much sense. Those might make more sense in other sentences, but not in this sentence. Now, what's important to understand about this word prediction that's performed by ChatGPT is that the predicted word, nice, for example, is not just based on the word directly in front of the word that's being predicted, but instead these GPT models are able to understand more complex sequences and relations. For example, the GPT models would be able to understand that nice makes sense here because it's related to the weather, not to the word very. If it were just be looking at the word very, rich or close might make sense, but if you take the overall sentence into account, nice of course makes much more sense because, as mentioned here, it would be related to the weather. So the GPT models are able to understand complex relations like this because these models are so complex and have so many input parameters. And therefore, these models are also not just related to single sentences, but instead they can predict words based on relations across multiple sentences or more complex word combinations. And that's why ChatGPT can seem so magical. It looks as if it really understands what we're saying. But in the end, it's really important to keep in mind that it is just predicting words based on the context it has available. So based on the user input and all the words it generated up to this word it's currently predicting. It's all about word prediction, but because of the complexity of these GPT models, it's able to predict these words really well, and it's able to produce complex output and complex text like this one here.